I didn't plan on telling him so much so soon, but if I didn't, Linda would have swayed him. There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth. What is the face of a coward? The back of his head as he runs from the battle. I've always loathed the necessity of sleep. Like death, it puts even the most powerful men on their backs. Kathy, if you don't like how the table is set, turn over the table. In Gaffney, we had our own brand of diplomacy. Shake with your right hand, but hold a rock in your left. Power is a lot like real estate. It's all about location, location, location. The closer you are to the source, the higher your property value. Centuries from now, when people watch this footage, who will they see smiling just at the edge of the frame?
So help me God.
Proximity to power deludes some into believing they wield it. I put an end to that sort of thinking before it begins. Kitten grows up to be a cat. They seem so harmless at first, small, quiet, lapping up their saucer of milk. But once their claws get long enough, they draw blood, sometimes from the hand that feeds them. For those of us climbing to the top of the food chain, there can be no mercy. There is but one rule: hunt or be hunted.
This week on It's Happening Out. Netflix and Ryan Murphy's The Politician.
That would make a difference to you. What do you care about?
Trump, dictator in the making.
Work that we've done this weekend, whether it's Secretary Mnuchin or
Prep shortage on the horizon in the UK.
Supply problems for the UK pharmaceutical industry, which imports 37 million.
Gender-neutral toys from Mattel.
Sign to keep labels out.
It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Special guest, President of Americans for Trump, Scott Newmark. With your host, lifestyle expert Napoleon Plates. Trans activist Aaron Phoenix. Reality TV star Chef Josie. DJ Diva Power Infinity. DC Log Cabin Republican Joe Brookman. And our moderator Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Woo! Oh, yeah. Well, good evening, America, and welcome to our Wednesday night broadcast of It's Happening Out. We're very excited that you're with us tonight. We are a live show, as you know, and so because we are live, anything can happen. I'm hearing a reverb. Okay.
It's that old age again, right?
Yes. So anything can happen, and it usually does, so stay tuned. We have a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to talk about all kinds of a variety of interesting topics. But before we move into the show, let me give you an example of how live we are. We frequently talk about how many people are watching It's Happening Out in the gay and the straight community. We're broadcasting to the entire nation and really abroad also. We have just finished 3 months from Stonewall. The last 3 months. We're 3 months from Stonewall. Can you believe it already?
Wow.
Very important milestone in a streaming show like this. And we are excited to announce that in the last quarter, in the last 3 months, 7 million people have watched It's Happening Out. It's really quite amazing, and we thank you. Nothing like it in America in terms of the number of people that are watching a live gay broadcast like this. We are coming from, probably helps contribute to it, the gayest place on planet Earth, and it's called Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And of course, that means we're coming from Bubbles and Pearls. Right here, you see it over my corner, over my shoulder, the famous Wilton Drive here in Wilton Manors. And my friend sitting next to me, Chef Josie, who is one of the owners, along with her partner, wife, Marcy at Bubbles and Pearls. And we're really happy to be here. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled here at Wilton Manors.
Audience
You
loves
want to
it.
make sure, America, we constantly say it. If you're in Britain, we have a lot of people in Britain watching us.
Yeah.
You need to come to South Florida. It's the gayest place on planet Earth. I swear, it's the gayest place I've ever seen. Power, and although Power doesn't look like Power, Power is Power tonight, and Aaron Phoenix, they come down and they stay at the Best Western here in Fort Lauderdale at I-95. We thank them very much in terms of coming down from how do we call the nether regions? We
The
talk about
nether
North
region.
Florida as the nether region.
Beyond the wall. Beyond the wall.
Right.
Why is Al acting like he doesn't know, like if he didn't come from there himself?
Oh, I just got called out. Well, anyway, we thank the Best Western, Oakland Park, at Powerline Oakland Park, another big gay community here in South Florida, and our host for Aaron and Power.
Yes, thank
We
you,
would
Best
like-
Western, for treating me like the queen I am.
Right. Hell yeah, I haven't been misgendered not one time over there.
Really?
Just
That's
saying,
like a
yeah.
record, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
actually very
fantastic. That's a
impressive. That's
huge
really good job.
compliment.
Especially at this table.
Yeah,
Yeah. Called out immediately.
All right, called out immediately.
That'll happen
All
all
right.
episode.
Let me tell you how you can like us.
Yeah.
You can help propel the content we talk about tonight. We're going to talk about everything. I am really hoping from our host meeting that Napoleon and Power are going to make out tonight right here at the table. We'll see. We'll see. But we want you to start a watch party. And here's how a watch party is done. And my friend Napoleon Place shows you how. It's super easy. Watch this.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click share. After clicking share, your screen should change and you can then click watch party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click start watch party. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
Please, America, I hope at home you're clapping too, because every time you clap, Napoleon feels a little bit better about it.
Called An Angel Gets His Wings
That's
is the
right.
phrase.
Exactly. All right. We want you to like and subscribe us. Of course, we're in all of the media platforms, whatever is your preference. We want to remind you we have a very special guest tonight. Lots going on in the world in terms of our politics, and it affects the gay community dramatically. And we have the president, Scott Newmark, with us tonight, the president of Americans from Trump. And we are really looking forward to that conversation.
Thanks for coming,
so,
Scott.
are we ready? Let's get started in terms of our show. First, we begin with the meme of the week. And most of the time we show you a flat meme, but this time we're going to show you an animation meme. And look at the meme of the week. Now watch closely, because the hosts haven't seen this. This is what's going on in Washington.
Oh my God.
The Trump administration with Nancy Pelosi
my
trying
God.
to get it off.
The Republicans standing over there watching, and Nancy watching, and oh, that poor whistleblower. Oh, just wiped out. That's our meme of the week of what seems to be going on in Washington, and we thought it was funny.
I love it.
Or meme culture is today.
Right. We move on to the best thing of the week. We always like to start our show in a positive way of telling you and showing you something fun. So we scour through everything and every place, and we come up with the best single thing of the week, and we thought this was a great qualifier. This is called How Can You Tell If Someone is Gay in 2019? Well, we found out. Watch this.
Here we go again. Look, listen, shut up.
Oh my god, who's that hottie coming this way? That's my new roommate.
He's still my beating boner. Gay or straight?
I don't know, actually. What? Yeah, we've only lived together for a week, so that really hasn't come up. I know, it's 2019 now, and so gender expressions are more fluid, which is awesome. It's just like a little trickier to tell if somebody plays for your team or they just like the Real Housewives of Atlanta too. All you need to do is look for context clues and ask a few probing questions. With an emphasis on the probing. Hey. Hey, Jacob. These are my friends, Kyle and Nate. Hi. I love those pants. Where'd you get them?
Thanks. They're Lululemon. I got them for football practice. I mean, European football. Soccer. I went to an all-boys Catholic prep school in England.
Catholic prep.
I learned a lot there.
So what are you up to the rest of the day?
I'm gonna go downtown. There's this really cool car show happening. There's a new brewery. It's supposed to have great craft beers. I might just get an Aperol Spritz. Maybe an old-fashioned. Probably just anything low-calorie with vodka. And then I'm gonna go home and binge a season of The Wire. Or maybe Real Housewives of the Potomac. Or Mad Men, season of The Wire. Really great. Or maybe Real Housewives. Actually, just men. Thanks. Just gotta go downtown.
Hey, babe.
Hey, love. Guys, this is my girlfriend, Jessica.
Girlfriend.
And this is my boyfriend, David.
Boyfriend.
Yeah, we're a bisexual monogamous throuple. See you boys later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, in 2019, that's how you tell which team you're playing for. You can't tell which team you're playing for. That's the conclusion. Everybody enjoy Best Thing of the Week?
Yeah, that was pretty great.
All right. Well, let's move into one of our big topics that we want to talk about tonight, and that is what's going on with the impeachment inquiry. It is not impeachment. It is an inquiry. And first, we want to welcome Scott Newmark, president of Americans for Trump. Welcome, Scott, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott, you know what kind of show we are, right?
Absolutely. That's why I agreed to come on.
You must be one of the bravest men I have ever met to come on our show tonight, and we thank you.
I never shrink away from a challenge.
That's right. And you're getting ready to prove that you're winning.
I'm winning.
That's right. All right. Well, before we get into the conversation, let's talk about a little bit of the happening now big news that is going on. Today, just today, this afternoon, President Trump did an impromptu press conference answering some questions, and it turned out to be an hour and 20 minutes. And scheduled was Nancy Pelosi and Chairman Schiff, and they also did a 40-minute question and answer press conference. We've taken some of the samples because we're going to talk so much of the president's position because of our advantage with Scott here. So let's do a few of the sound bites from today from Chairman Schiff. This is breaking news. You have not seen it just this afternoon. Watch this.
We are deeply concerned about Secretary Pompeo's effort now to potentially interfere with witnesses whose testimony is needed before our committee, many of whom are mentioned in the whistleblower complaint. And we want to make it abundantly clear that any effort by the Secretary, by the President, or anyone else to interfere with the Congress's ability to call before it relevant witnesses will be considered as evidence of obstruction of the lawful functions of Congress. On Monday, I issued a subpoena to Rudy Giuliani, again in consultation with Chairman Cummings and Engel. We expect Mr. Giuliani to comply with the legal process we are using. He is obviously a key figure in all of this by his own admission as well as by the allegations in the whistleblower complaint. Today, and just within the last half hour, Chairman Cummings noticed a subpoena that will go out later this week or next week after the notice period has expired, that committee intends to subpoena documents that the White House has been withholding from Congress. We are obviously coordinating very closely with Chairman Cummings on that. We're not fooling around here, though. We don't want this to drag on months and months and months, which appears to be the administration's strategy. So they just need to know that even as they try to undermine our ability to find the facts around the president's effort to coerce a foreign leader to create dirt that he can use against the political opponent, that they will be strengthening the case on obstruction if they behave that way. And we will do everything in our power to make sure that whistleblower is protected, that whistleblower's preferences in terms of their anonymity are respected. And let's not make any mistake here. The president wants to make this all about the whistleblower and suggest people that come forward with evidence of his wrongdoing are somehow treasonous and should be treated as traitors and spies. This is a blatant effort to intimidate witnesses. It's an incitement to violence. The president can attack the whistleblower rhetorically all the president wants. It doesn't change the fact that the record of that call shows the president of the United States in a same conversation, indeed immediately after the Ukraine president asked for more military help, the president of the United States asked that leader a favor, though. And no attack on the whistleblower or anyone else is going to change those underlying facts. There seems to be no floor below which this president can drop that some of the GOP members, and maybe even many of the GOP members, would not be willing to endorse, look away from, avoid comment on, let alone rise to condemn as incompatible with the duties of his office.
Well, as you can see, it's a big day in Washington. What struck me on this news conference is both Speaker Pelosi and Chairman Schiff made it absolutely crystal clear in their 40-minute news conference they're not fooling around. Also, in President Trump's hour and 20-minute news conference, he made it very clear he's going to fight to the death. Both points were clear. So we again introduce and welcome Scott Newmark, the president of Americans for Trump, with us tonight. Scott, thank you again for being with us. First, let's begin. What is your reaction as president of Americans for Trump, what you're seeing, what the last, especially in the last 4 or 5 days has been, but since about the 12 days, we're in day 12 now, what's your reaction from your position about what we're watching?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on It's Happening Out. Power, Aaron, Al, Josie, Napoleon, I really want to thank you because it's not easy to have an opposing point of view on a show, especially like this show. And I think that's very important because you don't want to hear your echo chamber over and over and over again hearing the same thing. So thank you for having the courage to have me on. What do I think about this? First of all, Adam Schiff is a liar. He promised collusion evidence for 2.5 years to the American people. And what did he deliver? Nothing. Zero. Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this charade, this fraud to be perpetrated on the American people. There is absolutely zero evidence of any wrongdoing by President Trump. That's what I say. You know what I say, Al? Seriously. These people like Schiff and Pelosi, you know what it is, Al? The same people, the same scam, the same objective. They've been talking about impeachment of President Trump for over 3 years. And you know what it is, Al? Seriously. It's pin the tail on the impeachment donkey. What are we going to do? We're going to go this theory, that theory, this theory. None of it's going to stick. And Al, seriously, just so your audience knows, and you have a very intelligent audience, President Trump very well may be impeached. Okay, fine. Does your audience think President Trump is going to be removed from office? He's not going anywhere. It takes 67 United States senators to remove him. So this is a charade.
Scott,
this is a waste of time, and nothing is going to change except nothing's going to get done for the American people.
Let me interrupt, let me interject a different word. America, to clarify Scott's point, the impeachment inquiry is to decide if the House of Representatives votes to impeach the president. If the House of Representatives votes, and at least 220 votes, I believe, is required.
218.
218, thank you. Oh my gosh, the president of Americans for Trump has just corrected me correctly. Oh dear.
I'm here to help.
If the House of Representatives, that's a funny joke, Scott. If the House of Representatives votes to impeach him, then it goes to the Senate, and that's where basically the Senate trial takes place. Exactly what happened to Clinton, and then it would take 67 votes. And Scott's point is, if they can't get 67 votes, the president is acquitted, which is exactly what happened to Bill Clinton. Okay, understood. Let's go back to the phone call, however. Scott, what's your reaction in your position as president of the organization you represent to the transcript that says the Congress passed to have the Javelin missiles sent to the Ukraine. The president withholds the money for it, then has a phone call, and when the president of Ukraine asks specifically for the Javelin missiles, the president doesn't comment on it, but talks about the favor he needs, though, which is the observation. What do you think about that?
I think that's an excellent question. And let me tell your audience. Number one, I have zero problems with the call. Number two, nothing on the call was illegal. What crime was committed? Can anyone in the audience name one? Of course not. So, what I say is, wrong. So what if President... Quiet.
Remember, we're talking to a national audience.
I know.
Yeah.
So what if President Trump asked about Joe Biden? He's not allowed to ask about Joe Biden? Who cares? Is Joe Biden above the law? Is Hunter Biden above the law? Let me tell you something, my friends.
No, only Trump's kids are above the law.
Why is Hunter Biden above the law? He's not. And the real question is whether either Joe or Hunter Biden did something illegal. There was zero quid pro quo on the phone call. And what do we know about the Bidens? You would think everyone in this room wants to know about the Bidens.
Scott,
what do we know?
Interrupt.
We know zero about the Bidens.
Scott, I'm going to interrupt you because
Absolutely.
we can have a separate conversation, and it's happening out, and we likely will, about the Bidens, Vice President Biden and his son. But that's not our conversation tonight. Our conversation tonight is about President Trump's ask of President Zelensky. If he asks for assistance from a foreign leader to help investigate a political opponent in America and provide military benefit if he's willing to do that, that is unconstitutional, isn't it?
No, absolutely
Why not?
As a matter of fact, I would expect President Trump, as the chief law enforcement officer and the chief executive of the United States, to ask that question. What your audience needs to understand, and I'm glad you asked that question, is that there are two critical factors going on. Was there corruption in Ukraine, and was Hunter or Joe Biden corrupt? Number two, what were the origins of the 2016 Russia hoax against President Trump? And just so you know, Al, there was a treaty between the Ukraine and the United States where President Trump needs to ask that question, and if he didn't ask, that would be derelict in his duty, because there has to be a cooperation agreement, and Bill Clinton signed that treaty, just so your audience knows, to cooperate on criminal and corruption investigations. So I'm glad President Trump asked that question.
Let me ask the question in a different way then.
Absolutely.
Why couldn't the president ask President Zelensky for the exact same favor, but automatically follow through on Congress's commitment to the Javelin missiles and not connect them?
Well, first of all, there was no military aid ever held up. Ukraine and the United States are both democracies. They're both allied against the Russian Federation headed by Putin. So what Trump did is ask his Zelensky to aid his attorney general to aid in the investigation of the corruption of the Bidens and the source of the 2016 election collusion. You think the Democrats would want to know that?
Wait, Scott, in all due respect, that's a very clever answer, but it's not the correct answer to my question.
It is to me.
My point was very specific. Why can't the president follow Congress's allocation of monies for the Javelin missiles, do exactly what Zelensky was asking for? Would you please fulfill your commitment? And simultaneously, if you want me to ask to do something in investigating the Bidens, I will do that separately. Why couldn't he have done that? Why didn't he do that?
First of all, he did.
He's an idiot.
There was never any quid pro quo. Trump was asking Zelensky to investigate the corruption of Hunter and Joe Biden and to investigate the origins of the 2016 Russia witch hunt. That's what he did, and that's what I would expect him to do as the chief executive officer of the United States.
Let me ask just one more question, and
Yes,
then we'll
sir.
open and have open dialogue at the table.
I love open dialogue.
I want to talk about specifically the whistleblower. The president last night said that if he is pursued in the impeachment process, it's a coup in America. He has repeated that if he is pursued, it will create civil war in America, and America will never recover from it. Both of those sourced right from his tweets. My question about the whistleblower is now he's intimidating, potentially you can argue, he's intimidating the whistleblower by wanting to know who the person is, why they should testify, or he should meet them personally, and all of his comments about the whistleblower and those people around the whistleblower committing treason. In your position as president of Americans for Trump, does that disconnect concern you in any way that the president really is rattling the bars that hard?
Absolutely not.
Why?
And as a matter of fact, the whistleblower, so your audience knows, is nothing better than a saboteur trying to undermine a democratically elected government. This whistleblower is nothing more than a deep state operative CIA agent that needs to be exposed. He's trying to undermine the government. He's engaging in a coup in the United States of America. So no, nothing, Al, worries me whatsoever.
Before I open the table, and we have general conversation, one more question.
Yes, sir.
Just one. If that was true, why did the president instruct that this phone call and this transcript be hidden in a server that was never intended at code word level? Why did he do that if he wasn't trying to hide it?
Al, that's a great question. And I will tell you why. Because since 2017, when Trump was inaugurated as the president of the United States, he has been undermined by deep state operatives embedded from the former Obama administration to undermine his administration and to prevent leaks. I'm glad he did that. I thank him for doing that. It was the right thing to do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and Obama did that too.
Okay, let's open the to the table. Other things that we want to talk about.
Absolutely. In general, a fanboy of anything is somebody that is so devoted to a product or a person that they are not open to actively criticizing them when they may or may not do something that's incorrect. So for our audience, I want to give you a little bit more credibility and keep you from just being a fanboy of Trump. Can you give some sort of criticism that you would like to see him improve in general in his actions on something?
Of President Trump?
Correct. What do you see that he could improve in any facet?
His hair products, maybe?
No. His hair's fine. He looks good.
I mean, so it's not his hair, his grammar, some policy, giving less to Jared.
I thought
Kushner,
maybe we could
never-ending
find some
ass
common ground. His
We
hair is
can
not so
absolutely
good.
find common ground. I love your audience. I love being on your show. I'm a man of love.
Napoleon's point. Tell us your number one criticism of Donald Trump.
Maybe my number one criticism of Donald Trump is perhaps not following through strictly on many of his promises. I would have expected more in terms of some of the things he said during the campaign.
More of a dictator by now.
Say that again.
Like
Wait,
what?
yeah, what
Give
are
us
some of
an
those
example.
examples that you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Give us an example.
Like the
I don't know about an immigrant in the leg, but
Remember, we're a national audience. You don't need to respond locally.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Oh, thank you, Al.
Okay.
But let me tell you a couple of things. I mean, one of the things Trump had talked about was striking back very hard against Iran. And when Iran attacked Saudi Arabia, I was expecting him to retaliate against Iran. That, to me, may have been a mistake. I didn't like that. That's one. If you want to call it a criticism, call it a criticism.
That he didn't retaliate.
Scott,
with
you've been a
military
Republican
enough.
your entire life,
Yes,
I
sir.
imagine.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious, in the longevity of being a Republican your entire life, one of the old number one knocks on Donald Trump is he was never a Republican. He is on record in so many ways, especially in the 90s, of being principally a Democrat. What do you think about the coattails of the leopard that hides in both
Al, I
faces?
think that is a fantastic point. You are 100% correct. And one of the things I really, just so your audience knows, one of the things I really liked about Donald Trump is that when he was running and when he was elected, he didn't just beat the Democrat Party, he beat the Republican Party. He's actually the first true independent candidate that was ever elected president of the United States. Listen, I'm here to tell the truth as I see it, okay? He's not a Republican. We all know that. He used the Republican Party to get elected.
So he lied to get into office?
No, he didn't. No, because in the United States, there's only, just like Bernie Sanders, he's an independent. He's not a Democrat, but he's running for the Democrat nomination. In the United States, there's only two ways to get elected, Democrat or Republican. So Trump used that.
So
I respect that. No, he didn't. No, Napoleon. Come on.
Let me jump
So
in.
I'm answering Al's question very honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
And it doesn't bother me because that's the only way you can do it in the United States today.
Granted. Let me jump in. At this point, I don't even know where to start with, but I do respect and thank you for coming on.
And thank you for having me.
I feel that at this point, Republicans can basically find Trump raping a bound woman, watching child pornography, shooting Mexican immigrants, smoking a crack pipe, and they'd still say that it's out of context or defend him. I mean, when it came to this whole argument that Trump was doing his duty by trying to investigate corruption in the Ukraine, I find that inconsistent with Trump. And the word of the day really is consistency. Because Trump, these allegations Trump's defense is inconsistent with his behavior. He wasn't interested in, he was not interested in investigating corruption when it came to Saudi Arabia. He's not interested in investigating corruption when it comes to Russia. He's not interested in investigating corruption when it comes to. He's not interested in investigating corruption when it comes to all the evils of this world that he buddies up to and wants to deep throat. But when it comes to Ukraine, all of a sudden he's interested in corruption. And by the way, let me remind you that a Ukrainian prosecutor already found that Joe Biden and his son were innocent, found nothing there. And the same way that he found them innocent. Firing them does not mean that they are criminal in
Talking
any
to a
way,
national
shape, or
audience.
form. No, it doesn't. And the same faith that you put in the Mueller report saying that zero evidence was found for collusion is the same faith that you should put in the Ukrainian prosecutor when he says that there is no evidence of any wrongdoing on Joe and Hunter Biden's part. It's not even a baseless claim. It's a lie. I'm not CNN. I'm not going to say that, oh, it's baseless. It's a lie. Trump is the Lion King, and I hope they impeach the shit out of him. And the fact that the Republicans are having a heart attack over this, all y'all blood pressure is 192 over 136, and I'm living for it. Period, point blank. I love you, I respect you, but I respectfully disagree.
Scott, specifically to
and y'all can
Power's
clap for that
observation.
too. Yes, ma'am.
Scott's to Power's observation. In the gay community, this is such a raw issue. Do you expect to see many Republicans, like your seat, for example, but do you expect to see many Republicans say the ends cannot always justify the means? Will there be voices that will at least express that?
In the Republican Party?
Yes.
Oh, of course there will. There's many never. There's many never Trumpers. There's many what I call Tessio Republicans, traitors to the family, that of course will come out against President Trump. They're the fringe minority. They'll be shunted aside like Mitt Romney and Bill Kristol and other losers like that. Well, I don't know about him, but Mitt Romney and Bill Kristol.
John McCain.
And McCain's dead, but he would have been one of them.
He would have been one of them. He's a hero, while Trump has bone spurs. So.
Jeff Flake has written the Washington Post op-ed this week. And
Bob
Jeff,
Corker.
the senator from Arizona, basically had an open editorial in the Washington Post to the entire Republican elected party and said, "Are you going to sell your soul?" That was his observation. Now, he's minimized completely. But in general, do you expect over the course of the next year that the 90-10 that we see in the Republican Party on almost every issue will continue all the way to the election of November 3rd?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Other
so
comments at the table.
what's coming up for me while I sit here and listen, and I first want to, commend you for your conviction and also for joining this table. Talk about
I
courage.
love being here.
Listen, talking about courage, you're up against 5 lions here.
That's why I
probably
came.
you don't know me very well, but I might look like the most progressive or socialist one at the table next to Aaron. However, that's not me.
No, that's him.
But one of the
That's
things,
power.
some of the things that I heard, and I think it's just really misleading, and maybe I'm going to give you an opportunity here to clear it up, okay? You talked about that we've been, or the Democratic Party has been attacking Trump and pursuing this road to impeachment, the pin the donkey on impeachment role, okay? And you said for 3 years. Now, 3 years later, we're at a phone call with the Ukrainian president. And why is it, and I mean, you tell me, because you're an intelligent man, tell me why you think that after 3 years, Biden now is at the top of the priority list to indict, investigate, and also have his, attorney general put full power.
Your implication is that Biden has become the political target.
Correct. And with that, I'm going to start there. But why do you think now, all of a sudden, Biden is the priority? If it's not Clinton, now it's Biden, and
the front runner.
Is someone scared?
No. If anybody in this room or your beautiful national audience thinks Donald Trump is scared of sleepy Joe Biden, get a life, okay? Let's be serious, okay? The Justice Department is investigating with Ukraine, with Attorney General Bill Barr and Prosecutor John Durham, corruption in Ukraine. Doesn't anyone in your audience want to know if the leading contender for the Democrat nomination is a crook? Maybe nobody wants to know that. I don't know.
Not if it was already
well,
said. And
But I want to answer you, Josie, hold on. I want to answer your question now because you raised an excellent question, and it's a legitimate question. But there's what Trump raised is nothing unusual. If we had a president asking a foreign leader for a favor, and every time they did that, we should just have a standing committee on impeachment for Republican presidents and Democrat presidents. And Josie,
Hold on.
wait, Josie.
Let's clarify the favor.
Josie, can
though.
I ask?
Okay,
add
go
one,
ahead.
Then
I'll let you
then I'm going to
finish,
turn
okay?
over to you. You know what the real scandal is here? The fact that somebody leaked the confidential phone call between Trump and Zelensky. That's the real scandal in my mind.
got caught.
And like, let's just clarify for a moment,
Yes.
because we'll review back, since we're walking down this reminiscent
Last chance.
lane. The point that you made earlier about Donald Trump committing no crime when asking a foreign leader for a favor. I might agree with you if that favor was, hey, listen, Ukraine, we owe you money, you owe me money. Can you do me a favor and let's extend and renegotiate that agreement that we had? I can understand that. That's a favor I can understand, right? Can we renegotiate some terms of whatever agreement? I can understand that. This is very distinct from that. This is a favor asking for almost a personal
too big of a favor.
Against a political opponent. That to me seems a little.
Listen, I don't know what we're looking
Josie,
for here.
can I answer that? Or
Sure.
not? I mean, Josie. Because again,
We're going to do one more question after this, and it's going to go to
Thank
Aaron.
you, Al.
Okay.
Josie raises an excellent point. But Josie, if Biden wasn't running for president, would you be having the same position? Meaning, if he wasn't a candidate for the Democrat nomination, would you say it would still be okay to ask about Biden, or is your beef really with the fact that he's running for president? Meaning, why should he get a pass because he's running for president?
I'm wondering the
shouldn't.
same thing, whether or
It's
not Trump would even be asking about Biden if he wasn't running for
Wait,
president.
I've got to give the soundbite in conciseness. To the observation, it is unconstitutional. The President of the United States cannot trade a political favor with military assets that are paid by taxpayers. It is unconstitutional and illegal. That is the reason why. He could not do it any other way. The crime is because Joe Biden is a political opponent. That's the reason why. Now, Scott disagrees with it, but that will be the crux of this impeachment inquiry and the conclusion of whether he's impeached or not. Last question or last comment?
No, I don't have a question because I don't know what we're really even doing here. We're not going to get any real, actual answers. For someone who talks so much, you really haven't said much. All due respect, but it's like you put a bunch of buzzwords into a blender and just kind of spit them out in whatever random order sounds clever to somebody who's not really listening that closely.
Now, Aaron, take it easy now.
I can't anymore with that.
No, don't talk. I'm not a blender. I've said a lot. I know your audience isn't used to it, and that's the beauty of having me on your show, to get an alternative perspective. But the point is, Donald Trump did not do anything unusual.
Tell yourself something enough times, you'll start to believe it.
Aaron, hold on. There's a criminal investigation that's going on about the deep state effort to unseat Trump in 2016. And he asked Ukraine for a favor, and we need to know the corruption of Hunter and Joe Biden.
Is there like an app that generates these sentences out of all those buzzwords?
No, it's just my brain that generates these sentences.
I wonder, in general, one final question,
Yes,
and we're
Al.
going to end this segment. My final question to you relates to your observation that then candidate Trump defeated the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. If President Trump is impeached and voted by 67 senators and is removed from office, or he is not removed from office, but he is so mortally wounded going into the November election, if he loses the election, do you think the minority that will be voting in November for him, if that's what happens, that they'll accept the outcome? But the assumption is if somebody else other than Donald Trump wins the election, will the same argument from the same people that are talking about this deep state propaganda that they propel, I understand the observation, will they accept the democratic process that Donald Trump lost in November of 2020? If that happens, do you think those same people that claim the deep state and all of these other related accusations will accept the conclusion of the election? Do you think that will happen?
Personally, I do. I will. But, Al, let me just respond to that in the few minutes remaining. Obviously, all the Hillary Clinton supporters never accepted it. Hillary Clinton said the most dangerous thing that can be in a democracy is not accepting the results of an election. And Al, even you know the Democrats have still to this day not accepted the results of the 2016 election.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I think that we have definitely accepted it. We certainly have not liked it. Yeah, we've accepted it. We don't like it.
We're national audience,
please don't,
not local.
Please let us not heckle before we get police to take you out like you were on Facebook. But
all right.
But we've accepted
Howard, go ahead.
We just don't like it. But this whole investigation is not really to look to the past.
We're going to do
it is to protect the future election. And that's why this is important.
But Al, the key thing is, again, I said this at the beginning, but I want your audience to understand so they're not like hoping. Trump isn't going anywhere. The Democratic Party is going to impeach Donald Trump. That's an absolute. I know that. But he is not going to be removed.
Okay.
I agree.
If he wants to stay in office for a third term, would you support him?
I'm gonna, that's going to be our final soundbite for tonight. That's how Scott started. Crystal clear. The president's going to be impeached. The inquiry is going to lead to
100%.
impeachment in the House. Then it is going to be a trial in an impeachment fashion in the Senate, and it's going to require 67 votes. And the president of Americans for Trump said, we're not going to get to 67 votes. That's what we'll be watching in the next things. But for tonight, that is enough. We've gone quite an extensive period of time in this conversation because we had a unique advantage, an opportunity on a gay streaming live show to speak to the president of Americans for Trump. And so, Scott, we really thank you for that, and we appreciate it. Now, don't move your seat. I'm hungry, so let's take a moment to show you something that Napoleon and I did with Almason Empanadas. Watch this.
Hey, Napoleon. We have got to get some food for the host, and so I brought you to this new restaurant that's open. It's called Almason Empanadas. Do you like empanadas?
I do like empanadas, and we're here. Let's give it a go.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hey, Al, how are you doing?
Good. 2 empanadas for each host, 5 hosts, and do a selection for everybody. The guava and cheese, that's right. And the mushroom and brie. Thank you.
All right.
Wow. Woo! Oh my gosh. This is what
awesome.
community smells like.
That's exactly. That's awesome. You can do mushroom and brie. That's my favorite. You can do beef. You Cuban. They have a special that starts at the end of the month. If you come on Sundays and you order 4 empanadas, it's bottomless mimosas.
Okay.
They do fresh deliveries, so that's great for me. So they can deliver to my house, and of course, full catering. Almason empanadas. We are really loving it. I love Almason empanadas.
Me
We
too.
had our host
Woo.
meeting this evening, and I had your guava.
Wasn't that so good?
Oh my gosh, I had 2 of them, and they're just like
I had the
perfection.
crazy today for lunch.
Yeah, if you're here in South Florida, you got to do it. It is really,
right
really
next
great.
door to Bubbles and Pearls. so
Okay,
you-
what do you want to do, America, gay America? When you talk about impeachment, what do you want to do?
Oh, have a drink.
We want to have shots. Exactly right.
Swallow.
Let's play our game. I'd swallow that. It's sponsored by Live Proud Vodka, and it's a fun game. We invite you at home to do it. Here's how it works, America. I'm going to ask 4 questions. If you agree, take a shot with us. That's what the hosts are going to do. If you disagree, don't take the shot. But play along with us, and here at Bubbles and Pearls, play along with us also. everybody ready? We're going to play I'd Swallow That.
All right.
Yeah, you guys might-
Question number 1. I'd swallow that. Other family members are also part of the LGBT community. You have family members that are LGBTQ+.
Well, first, I hope that all of you can say at least that they're allies a little. I mean, as your family to some degree, that you have someone in there.
Oh, what a hair Napoleon
No,
just
no.
split.
We want to support the people that support us. So first, yes, but also I do have someone in my family that a couple of people.
Wait, I call bullshit. No, all right.
No,
Go ahead.
that I didn't. I mean, I kind of knew growing up, but they never officially like came out to me. So I would just meet like the person that they lived with, or like
Because
all of
you're
the
not
cats.
trustworthy.
I'm not trustworthy.
Yeah.
Oh, back to the Jew thing again already, huh?
Oh God. Here we go.
Happy New Year.
And Power, you took a shot?
I did, but nobody in my family that is part of the LGBTQ community except for myself has come out.
And why is that?
Because we are Black, West Indian, and religious.
Strike 1, strike 2,
That's right.
strike
and,
3.
And most of my
Absolutely
family,
not.
most of my family is still in Trinidad and Tobago, still in the islands. And in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, it's not.
Now, wait,
very-
that is fascinating to me, America, because power is as out there as you can be in America,
JD,
right?
Circuit queen.
As out there. Have any of those secretive family members that are in the closet because of strike 1, 2, and 3, have any of them talked to you privately?
No, one is dead, and I just actually found out that he was gay at my brother's funeral.
Oh, and never told you.
And I never knew. I was the only one in my family that didn't know, so my gaydar didn't even go off with him. And there's
Well,
one.
it's not very good, your gaydar.
It is very good.
Which
I
we'll
guess.
talk about in a minute.
And there's one that I suspect is gay, but he has never ever come out.
Okay. And you took the shot?
Yeah, my favorite cousin growing up, he was a couple years older than me, and we kind of lost touch after a while. He found me on MySpace when I was still in high school. I know. I was still in high school. He was like, "Oh my God, look at you! You're a little lesbian." So you know, it was a different life, different time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he actually came to one of my drag shows last year at Queen of the Night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
All right. Anything else? Or
And
we're gonna move
I
on?
mean, I don't have anyone in my family, but I have now Marcy's family, who is my family, and her cousin just came out, and so hi,
Congratulations.
welcome
All right.
to the family.
Let's right. Welcome and come out. That you have. We hope everyone if don't live secret. Question number 2. I'd swallow that. There are good reasons to stay in the closet.
Oh.
There absolutely are good reasons to stay in
Now
the closet.
I'm not taking that shot. Somebody tell me a good reason.
If you live in Uganda or Haiti.
Well, we're principally not streaming a lot in Uganda.
Well, you asked if there's
and
good
no
reasons.
one
There
has
are good reasons.
electricity in Haiti, so
There's
we're not,
sa-
We
there-
think
there
of all
are
people
safe-
equally, Al.
There are safety reasons, and once again, like I always say, we've come a long way, but we still have
Safety.
miles to go before we sleep. And not everybody, not even in our own country, feels safe enough to come out.
I want to ask you, you really think that there's no viable reason to not come out of the closet? You didn't take a shot to this. How
Well,
can that possibly
I
be
didn't.
true?
The safety issue, of course, is a realistic one. But I think in general, even in weak Equality Act protection, the Joe Brookman argument that the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects you, it doesn't.
Right.
No.
But in general, hate crimes can be enforced. It's difficult. It's very difficult
Right.
in
Depends
some
where you
places.
Employment.
Yes, but
there's certain
yeah, but in
scenarios.
general, there is protection everywhere. in
Yes,
America.
but protection after you get beat up.
After you get
kill you.
fired,
That's
after you.
the whole point of not needing that protection is to feel safe. And if you don't feel safe enough to
Yeah.
want to
Well,
come
You know,
out and be
typically
yourself,
I wouldn't drink because I'm like, just live out, live proud, live boldly, live. Life is too short, and I can't speak for someone
Forever,
else
right.
living their lives. The invitation, however, is to live out and live proud.
I promise you, and of course, I would not be absolutist. I'm not taking the shot, but I'm not absolutist. But Harvey Milk is rolling around in my head right now. Harvey Milk said, right prior, just weeks before he was shot in San Francisco, that our number one obligation as a gay person is to come out of the closet, be expressed to your community
That's
and your
important.
family.
And it's just like anything to be seen to conclusion. You need to make sure that you do what the best of your ability is to support that cause, because those rights can be taken away. You can see that happen constantly in
Right. Well,
all sorts
Harvey
of
Milk also
fiction.
got shot. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that it's that it's in vain, but it's a real danger still. And you say that we have those protections pretty much everywhere. That's not true when it comes to gender identity.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's interesting because Al is also the person here that would probably say he grew up feeling the most protected and the most privileged in many ways.
For sure. Let's move on to question number 3. I'd swallow that. I have an extremely accurate gaydar.
Oh, yes, girl.
Well, for me, everyone just becomes gay. So, that first sight, love attraction thing.
Another hair split that has nothing to do with gaydar. Your wish and hope is different than
I
your
did say that
gaydar
as a
still.
superpower at one point. That would be so interesting if that was like what your superpower were.
See, he says
make
that
you
from the
sleep with me.
perspective of everyone in the world will love me.
I don't know who was it that was that. I mean, we have a whole topic on objectification, but weren't you like saying something about power and me and like making out multiple times? at the
Yeah,
beginning
well,
of this?
America, let me clue you in on something. Power admitted at the host meeting.
Yes.
I'm outing you, dude. At the host meeting, we finally talked about the possibility of public displays of affection, and Power said, I could do that with you, and we could make out. And Napoleon got giddy. Finally, after a year, we can make out.
The biggest
Isn't that true?
compliment,
We've
right?
waited for that
Is everything I'm
opportunity.
saying true?
We haven't played Spin the Bottle. We played all these other games, but not Spin the Bottle. Where is that?
Or truth or dare.
Okay, later. I have the bottle.
All right. Gaydar. Do you have good gaydars?
I think I do. I think I could spot a queen from Uranus.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about someone other than a queen?
Well, here,
that's
just-
so obvious.
I think I can.
Just point outside. You're right.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know about gaydar, but I think I have theydar when you can tell that someone is non-binary.
It is. That's a very good joke. I have
Closest
fun.
I can get.
I have fun with my straight friends because I will go into a place that is straight, and I'll go oop there, and they'll all go no, and we'll strike up conversation. I'll constantly bring them up to the people. I did that in Alaska, and they're shocked because my gaydar was so good. Even from
Your
a
fantasy
distance.
doesn't count as reality. You know that, right?
Okay,
Tell
don't
him
do
that
my
30 years
Napoleon
ago,
jokes.
Aaron.
All right, let's move on to question 4. I'd swallow that. Question 4. Open relationships are a cop-out.
From what?
A cop-out.
A cop-out?
No one is supporting.
This is 2019. If you really are so terrified of an open relationship, or at least the concept of it, that you feel that it's a cop-out, that feels very aggressive, passive-aggressive. That's a microaggression, as many people would say today. That is a microaggression, the phrase cop-out.
Listen, humans have evolved. Life has evolved.
Screw that.
The
We started
world
wanting
has
multiple
evolved.
partners.
Relationships have evolved. We are no longer in traditional times that it was like this, alpha member of the family and this submissive. I mean, that's different for you, but I know.
No one knows my whole story.
Oh, but,
But-
you get what I'm saying. So tradition is kind of out of the window. Now it's really up to the people in the relationship to have an upfront conversation
concept.
and come to the terms of their relationship.
I-
Like we've had the conversation about monogamy and non-monogamy and open and whatever. Listen, it's your relationship. If I'm not in your bedroom, I have nothing
No,
to say.
tradition
You
is
know?
pure animal sex with multiple partners.
if
It's
I
not
could-
having one single partner your whole life.
If I can
That's
restate in agreement what you just said, it's something that I'm trying to live by, completely different than I did years ago. At the end of the day, if you're criticizing somebody for what they're doing, you're judging them. And if you're judging them, you have to ask the question, why are you judging them? And then when you answer the question, why I'm judging them, it's something wrong with your thinking process.
Unless
I
they're a
come to it
politician.
as
Well,
quickly
something
as
to
that.
look at. Something to look at. I never like to call ourselves wrong.
Yeah.
You got to unpack it, though. You
We're
gotta-
evolving, guys.
Well, you
We're
have to start
evolving.
someplace. All right. Well, that's I'd swallow that. It's done by Live Proud. We really love Live Proud. It's a high quality product. My favorite thing about it is it's socially conscious. Live Proud Vodka donates $1 for every bottle that they sell to social action organization, which I think is great.
I also want to say to Scott, you guys might have seen that my shots were brought back out at the beginning of the section. My shots were actually taken by Scott, so make sure that you get to try the Live Proud vodka, because I want you to know mine isn't actually alcohol. So you just drank nothing to make yourself feel a little better, but make sure you try some because it is really good. So we'll make sure to throw it back out there.
Okay, well, that's our game. I'd swallow that, and we're going to move on into our celebrity hot topics. Celebrity hot topics. Big things happening in the news with celebrity.
Oh, man.
First, Netflix and Ryan Murphy's show has been deployed at Netflix, and it's called The Politician. Now, before we show you this, think about what we watched at the top of the show with House of Cards. Now think about a new version of the potential of House of Cards where the presidential candidate is gay and does all kinds of other terrible things.
Pete Buttigieg.
And, I'm not sure he would
Don't gaslight that and say he's doing terrible things.
Exactly.
Okay?
Let's not start this again.
Mayor Pete.
I'm in that seat today, guys. It's the energy.
Wait, y'all are running away from me. Let's begin with seeing something about this new show called The Politicians.
Running for student body president. That is why I'm proud to introduce my running mate today, Infinity Jackson.
She already has an 80% approval rating.
And a fan account on Instagram.
So evidently there's a videotape with some footage of you using an offensive gay slur. Do you have any idea what I might be referring to?
Do you have any idea what time it is?
Shut up, ma'am. I'm not going to take your bullshit tonight, okay? What did you say on the tape?
She said butt munch. She called an obviously gay reporter butt munch.
Damn it! This is all over now! Gentlemen, I'm going to be president of the United States. I'm merely stating a fact. I will be president someday. I'm warning you. Do not screw with my dream.
Your ambition frightens me.
I want that trophy.
This school deserves better than you.
If you want to beat them, you need to embrace your inner coldness unapologetically.
I want that trophy. Gotta help Peyton.
We hate Peyton way more than you do.
Think I should kill him? What? Yes, I do.
I don't know yet if I'm a good person.
You don't have to be a good person, as long as you do good things.
Tell me all the stuff that would make a difference to you. What do you care about?
This young lady would like to vote.
She can't without a student ID. Otherwise, they'd bus in a bunch of kids from other schools to vote illegally.
That's insane.
Peyton's possibly a homosexual.
Astrid is a raging bigot.
I don't understand why calling that gay man a butt munch was such a scandal. That's what gays do. Munch butts and celebrate Halloween.
I want that trophy.
We should have him assassinated. Too dark?
I will win at all costs.
I have a crime to report. Did you do it, Peyton?
It's so hard to have to try so hard all the time.
You're gonna change the world, Peyton.
How do you know?
Oh my goodness, I'm unclear how Ryan Murphy knows the host that Hits Happening Out, because all of the hosts around me, that's exactly the only thing they do. They munch butts and celebrate Halloween. They're the gayest people on planet Earth.
This show.
Has anybody seen it?
Yes. I am in my third episode of this show, and just let me tell you guys that this show is basically a mixture of American Horror Story and Glee, and it has the most beautiful transgender actor he is so hot. It's homoerotic. It is like literally this is like a mixture of everything of in our pop culture formulated into one really witty, smart show. You guys have got to watch The Politician.
I thought that was us.
It's in my queue.
Well,
Yeah. All right. Mine too. I just learned today Netflix deployed the entire season. I can't wait. I'm going to do that.
Netflix.
Gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Binge.
Next big topic in celebrity hot topics. On the girls' side, Charlie's Angels. You remember the 1970s show? Well, it's coming back, and this time to the big screen with an uber gay cast. Watch this announcement of Charlie's Angels.
I think women can do anything.
Just because they can doesn't mean they should.
But I have so many talents.
It's like I'm powerful with a little bit of tender.
I'm just a decoy stud.
That's just the way you make me feel.
Who steals humanitarian
Outstanding. Angels.
Who are you? I'm Bosley. Welcome to the Townsend Agency. We exist because traditional law enforcement can't keep up.
I don't like that, boy.
You guys are like lady spies. Jane's former MI6. Sabina runs the ground game.
See, I know stuff.
Let's get the weapon before it becomes every bad guy's favorite new toy. Take her to the closet, gear her up.
We're gonna need some wigs, toys,
Feisty.
clothes.
Ah, we're still in the first closet.
There's another closet.
Oh, Vince.
Let's just stop the touching. Some of these blows up. I love phosphorus.
It's my favorite chemical.
Really?
Jane, are you flirting with a handsome nerd?
Of course not.
How'd that feel? Because it looked like it felt really good.
That felt nice.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
Hello. Look,
How
it looks fun to me.
long do we hold this pose?
I remember the
Hello.
7. Wait, Josie, what are you doing?
I'm putting this in my calendar. Are you guys crazy? This is hot. I'm in.
Like
Al would be Bosley or whatever.
Yeah,
Bosley. It's Elizabeth Banks, Rita Repulsa, and
Yeah.
from like everything.
Yeah.
She's actually directing it. It's
All right.
incredible.
Oh,
Do-
nice.
Does any? I'm just quick. Yes or no? That's all. Do you think the movie's going to be good?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Abso-fucking-lutely, yeah.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to celebrity
Jared,
hot
play it
topics.
back. No, just kidding.
Can you have a gender fluid heartthrob? Is that possible?
I'm sitting right here. Really?
Wow.
Nico Tortorella, from the popular TV show Younger, had a very interesting interview. Watch what he said here. It's very interesting.
And you're very open and honest. I mean, you came out recently as being sexually fluid.
Sexually fluid,
What does
yeah.
that mean to people who don't really understand?
It means I do whatever I want whenever I want it. And I don't really have a problem with it. Yeah.
Don't judge.
Yeah.
But I love it. You say, too, coming out for you, for whichever, you just are who you are. It was never a big, you've always just been you. It wasn't like a big discussion with your parents or grandparents.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just kind of have to take the weight off of it a little bit.
So you've been with men, you've been with women. Is there something you love about men or women more than the other?
I just love people, man. I mean, that's it.
Who's more difficult to date?
Come on.
Women.
I think so. I was going to say, that's an easy answer, right? We even know that answer.
Well, America, you learn it from Nico. It's harder to date women than men.
Trust, as the authority at the table who dates women, I know that firsthand, okay?
Marcy, I love you. What do y'all think about what Nico said?
I think
Gender
it would be harder for me to date a woman than a man too. So I agree.
Gender fluid,
Noted,
specifically
noted.
on that
well,
issue.
Well,
what do y'all think?
let's make the important distinction here. Gender fluid and sexually fluid are two very, very different
You know,
things.
it's interesting because that phrasing he was really clear
Yes.
on. I'm
Listen,
not talking about gender.
Your gender, your sexuality is who you want to go to bed with. Your gender is who you go to bed at.
Very, very different.
Very different.
That
things.
is terrific.
Robin.
Really,
Versus
really
what you think
terrific.
you are. And of course, America.
Got to
you think it's
remember
hard,
that.
Rob, right?
I learned something. Let's move into headlines. Lots of big headlines in the news this week. We were going to talk about Donald Trump and impeachment plans and how it relates to the election in 2020. But who votes not to talk about that tonight? We're not talking about that.
We have exhausted that subject.
Yeah, exactly.
But tune in next week
Exactly.
for more conversation
Exactly.
about
Right.
impeachment.
All right, let's move to what was going to be our second headline we're talking about tonight, and that is Brexit. You may not be aware of it, but Brexit has a big effect on the gay community. And that is because there is concern about a gigantic shortage of HIV-preventing drugs getting into Britain. And we've prepared a little package, not specifically on PrEP or HIV drugs, but the entire industry of drug importation into the United Kingdom if hard Brexit takes place. Watch this. I bet you didn't know this.
Georgina was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes while she was at university 36 years ago. Managing the condition is a daily challenge that requires access to a reliable source of insulin.
I think with the release of those Yellowhammer documents, it's quite clear that there could be possible shortages. For me, I can't tell you how worried I am about that. It's life-threatening for me.
Over the years, treating diabetes has been made easier by the range of sophisticated products available to patients, from pumps that deliver a low dose of quick-acting insulin to the technology that helps measure blood sugar levels. The Yellowhammer documents revealed trucks moving between the UK and Europe could face custom check delays of 2.5 days if there's a no-deal Brexit. The disruption could last up to 3 months. And that would cause supply problems for the UK pharmaceutical industry, which imports 37 million packs of drugs from Europe every month. With such stark warnings, the private sector is making preparations. Novo Nordisk, the world's biggest insulation manufacturer, has stockpiled 3.8 million packs of the drug.
Well, quite significant to our brothers and sisters and community in Britain if hard Brexit takes place. 2.5 days is minimum delay. This could go on for 90 days in implementation problems if Britain separates from the Union. What do y'all think? Any thoughts?
90 days is enough time for a lot of things to go wrong when you don't have your meds.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it's just another example in a different country of politicians playing with the people who vote them into office. So, you know, it's simply a call to action. Yeah, it's a call to action for folks to be very present and conscious and, you know, researched about who you're placing your vote for.
I want to make sure that I'm clear. You just said elections matter.
Yes, that's exactly what
Voting
I said.
is important. Next headline in the news, over the weekend, was the National Trans March in Washington, D.C.
Yes. First ever.
Do we have anybody, first ever National Trans March in Washington? Do we have anybody at the table that's trans? Nope. Nope.
So moving on.
Right. Well, of course, Aaron Phoenix, a national trans activist, was front and center this weekend in Washington. Watch this. I think you're going to like it.
So, I was talking about what we're here for, why we march in the last video, and how yes, we're here for the 19 trans people who have been killed, but we're also here for all the trans people who are still alive and fighting every day just to live, just to survive. And that we're here marching for the trans people who are not here today because they're busy at their jobs, and that their jobs might happen to be sex work. Their jobs might happen to be hustling drugs. Their jobs might happen to be whatever the fuck gets them food in their stomach that day. It's a privilege to march. It's a privilege to be able to be part of this visible fight. The part of the fight, the real march, the real fight, the real battle is fought every single day in trans people's lives. The real battle is not, you know, led by a chant.
I held my own town meeting here in the District of Columbia, disgusted that there were murders of trans people here in the district, and yet they were invisible. Stop killing our girls! Stop it! Stop killing our girls! Stop it!
We're here to hold the space in our hearts and in our lives and in our work and our activism for trans people, for trans women of color, for trans gender nonconforming femmes of color.
Well, isn't that motivating?
Beautiful, beautiful.
First ever National Trans March. I love Aaron's comment. It is a privilege to march.
Yeah.
Aaron, what was that experience like? Pennsylvania Avenue, on the Washington Mall, where was it?
I don't remember the name of the street.
Yeah,
We took
okay.
an alternate route for safety reasons.
Yeah.
It was transformative, and it was a lower turnout, I think, than anybody expected, which is indicative of, kind of where we're at in the LGBT community on trans rights. But it was a really empowering day, and there was a lot of people who came together and really were there for some really wholesome, good reasons. They were ready to fight. They were ready to do something actionable, do something real about what we're facing today. And it kind of rekindled the fire in me for sure.
And if you guys weren't able to attend for any reason, if you reshare the video and get involved, there are a lot of other ways that you can still fight for the cause and be supportive.
I'm curious, after them doing it the first time, the trans community and organization, will there be a second National Trans March?
Yes, this is the first annual. And speaking of a privilege to march, I want to thank the Orlando United and the One Orlando Alliance for sponsoring my participation, transportation,
You might not be
and
able
everything.
to do it any other way.
I wouldn't. There's no way I would have made it there.
I'll
No way.
applaud for that.
And they did an incredible job. They were really. There was a lot of talk about accountability in our community and being willing to say, "Hold me accountable. Hold me accountable for, being a real ally." And it was really empowering to me to hear that from people who really they're putting themselves out there. They're being vulnerable and saying, "I may not be where you want, where we all want to be." When it comes to knowing what we need to know about trans rights and trans issues. But I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm willing to be there for you, and let's work together.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Aaron. First of all, I'd just like to say I'm very, very proud of my Brister, and I was the one that recommended Aaron for this show.
You're free. So I hold you responsible.
Yes, but Aaron, as somebody who actually was a very powerful who is a powerful trans activist, but in Central Florida, Aaron really used to rally our community together for a lot of events, a lot of rallies. Aaron used to organize a lot of stuff, and then you kind of stopped. You kind of took a break.
Yeah, I did.
And now you did this. How did it feel getting back in the saddle, so to speak?
I felt like, I'm going to be honest, I felt a little like I had been letting my community down. And that's something that a feeling that I deal with a lot because I was doing the work and not enough self-care, which is something we all warn against. And I fell to that. And when I took a break from activism, there was a year I didn't leave my house.
Wow.
Okay, so this was nerve-wracking for me to go out there and kind of put myself back into the fight. But I realized looking around me how important it is, how essential it is, and how many people are out there, how many young people are out there looking for those leaders and those voices, and we can't let them down.
I want to move out of headlines, but I do want to say to Power's question, Aaron's answer. I have said this 100 different ways to 1,000 different people. What I hear you say and what you've been through and the end result of what happened to you over the weekend at the National Trans March is the most important thing the gay community can do, individually or as a collective community, whichever letter you represent, is to show up.
Yep.
If you show up, you've won.
Whatever
That's
that means
all
for
you
you,
have
yeah.
to do.
Listen, I want to add something to the show up part, though. Not only do you show up, let's take it a step further. Let's contribute and let's participate.
Right.
So that's how that works.
One of the speakers at the march said, "Don't just say her name. Say her name and then take action."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move out of headlines of what has been going on this week, and we had a topic that we wanted to discuss, which is going to surprise you here coming from the gayest place on planet Earth, and that is the objectification of men.
Objectification.
He can't say that word.
I cannot say that word.
Objectification.
Okay.
This isn't some
Do we
non-American.
summarize and do we minimize the sexual nature of men? And if we do, is that okay? And the reason we asked this question to do this topic
is to look at this picture.
Well, first, that picture. please.
Yeah, sexy.
That boy.
Exhibit A.
Okay.
Why did you take that photo,
But
honey? Okay.
This is a real thing going on, to use the sexual nature of men in promotion. Watch this. We came across this in Seattle.
A new business is creating a buzz on Broadway.
Yes, I think this is a perfect location.
The slogan says it all.
Hot guys serving hot coffee.
Hot guys serving hot coffee.
Deshaun Williams and Brandon Peters are the shirtless baristas.
Name of the company is Dream Boys Espresso.
I feel like this does get like the next level of it, right?
2 years ago, I wanted to create my own company called Brokini Espresso.
But this place opened first.
I saw this advertisement on one of the female barista pages saying that they were hiring male baristas. So I had to try it. It was something new. I was like, it's gonna make history.
I thought it was a good idea, you know?
They've been here less than a week and already have regulars.
This is my favorite one. He's a hottie.
There's even been a few curious caffeine seekers from far away,
Bellingham,
willing to make the drive.
For these guys.
A coffee run 90 miles from home.
We saw it on Facebook and we're glad that it's just not a bikini hut.
They're steaming up orders and posing for pictures.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
At a coffee stand,
I've always loved ice milkers.
creating a lot of conversation on this corner.
Very good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, we make good drinks too, guys. We make good drinks too. A lot of people question about that. They're like, can guys make coffee?
In Seattle.
Yes, we can. We can.
Natalie Swaby.
So you got the dirty, you got the non-dirty.
King 5 News.
What kind of milk? Do you guys want whole milk or do you guys want fat-free milk?
I'm curious.
Clap. Come on.
There's a mixture of applause here. I'm curious. If this was the straight community and this was women, likely there would be quite a negative reaction to this in many circles.
Hooters has been a multi-million-dollar corporation forever.
Okay, all right. Let's not peel me apart. Okay. Broad observation. There would be some eyebrow raised.
Sure.
But because it's the gay community, when I saw it, it was like, wow, this is fantastic. Those boys are not gay, by the way. But wow, this is fantastic. Is that part of the double standard? What do y'all think about this?
Well, I think that really, to your point, that if it was a straight community and it was women, it would raise some eyebrows. You're absolutely right. But I think part of the reason that is because women have so long been used to being looked at as sexual objects that now it becomes objectified. But men have not. So at this point, we're riding the train of glorification as opposed to objectification.
Oh,
does that make it okay?
Thank you, Power. I
Yes.
didn't even have to say that.
So you're
now.
okay
Yes.
with it? Yeah.
Yes. One person's objectification is another person's glorification. Now, after
wait,
a while,
before
when
you
we get
jump in-
sick of it, then it'll become objectification.
Before you jump in, let me point out, America, and I made this notation in social media. Power probably has not seen it because he's in jail yet again. However,
Shut up,
however,
you're in jail too.
I made the note, right? I made the note. Oh wait, in the last month, this is like the 70th shirtless picture of Power Infinity I have seen, and I'm
Come on,
wondering-
sex sells. We all know that, all right?
Right, that's my joke. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I have to jump in on it. First, objectification is treating somebody like an object. And of course, some people can like that, and that's a whole different conversation right there. But we're talking about women right now. And I think that for true equality, for there to be men and women treated equally, you have to objectify men. We have treated women that way for such a long time. It's become a social norm. And the only way to make that equivocate is to put men on that same pedestal. And that has positives and that has negatives. There are a lot of people that like being objectified. And there are a lot of, it's not just a fetish thing either.
Actually, let me
And
take
just so you know,
Wait, hold on just one sec. Let me take the conversation. We'll come back to you. Let's take the conversation one step farther. It got us into a conversation about, and really that was the joke about Power and Napoleon at the host meeting, and that is PDA. And there's this thing going on about how you're affected in the gay community about public displays of affection. So let's fold gay back into this conversation, and let us show you this video about gay PDA. Watch this.
It's Glasgow, March, and we walk hand in hand in the park. Now it's 3:13 and I'm late and it's time I make a choice. We're both boys, you see. If you were to go back and look, You'd see 100 eyes hurry to objectify this hand-in-hand stance. It's a flurried dance of reaction. Some smile, they're proud and they want me to know. But there's a darker shade of brow that balances the books. Point me out to all the pawns in the crowd. Spawn a following whose glowers linger on so that our hands are no longer holding, but dragging glare after glare, snowballing stares, stretching elastic social disgrace through this forbidden space, and the scales are well and truly tipped. Or her, with the rolling chips and the kids, she'd take one salty glance at two guys kissing, be hissing vinegar. Or way, I've got nothing against gays, she'd say, but you have to do it in front of my kids. I should be holding a hand, and I'm holding shame instead. But I'm letting go. No, I won't keep weighing it up. I'll put my muscles at ease. So why is a goodbye kiss no walk in the park? 0.5% doesn't sound like much, but it's enough. It's 3:15. You'd think it was just about time for love.
Well, isn't that a brilliant observation? Let's fold that into objectifying men and our observation, piggyback on Napoleon's observation here in terms of some of the negative consequences of our sexuality of men and gay. What do y'all think after seeing that?
You know, listen, I'm very out, right? I mean, I present like a dyke, okay? A world, I've come to terms with that, all right? Anyways, that being said, you know, when I walk down the street with my wife, sometimes we walk into church, for instance, where it's like all straight. And Marcy wants to hold my hand in church. And I go, oh, babe, you know, I just want to come to worship, right? And it makes me like cringe inside because it's like, why am I
afraid?
Self-conscious?
No, why am I stopping expressing myself and being apologetic for who I am and showing up
Because
to like
you
be
were trained to be that.
To feel that sense
exactly.
of shame.
So the world might not be ready for it, but I know that most of us are ready to show the love we have for our partners.
It's not about the world. It's if you're afraid to show PDA, I think that in a large extent you're afraid to come out of the closet. Because if you aren't comfortable with your sexuality, I'm not saying you have to be over the top in front of people all of the time, but if you're not comfortable enough to do simple things that express who you actually are, then you're not fully comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, like
sexuality
holding
is such a
hands.
part of yourself, you can't deny it. If I'm not saying that I'm attracted to guys occasionally in some fashion with my behavior in some way, I'm holding myself back, and then I'm not being my authentic self.
I think Napoleon's take on this is very interesting, and I'm gonna admit something that I've never actually admitted out loud before. For me, as a 47-year-old, stunningly beautiful black man, I had to get that in there. I think our generation views things a little bit different than Napoleon. Napoleon lives in a bright new world, whereas I have to actually consciously take that step to have that courage that Napoleon has, because I come from a different background, a different growing up, and a different generation, where these things were not really looked upon favorably. And so for me, I also strive to be where you are. And I make that decision. Whereas for you, I think it comes more naturally. I actually have to take that step to say, I'm going to be bold and live in this new world because I, like you said, am conditioned to be afraid. And I don't think that's a good way to be.
So there's something else, though, to this. When you talk about that fear is real. Like, as a woman, as a dominating alpha-style woman presenting on the streets, sometimes I even can be faced with a machismo, a masculine energy, which gets thrown off by my presence. And, quite frankly, sometimes when I walk into a space, a straight space, predominantly straight space with my wife, I just ask my wife to give me space to assess the room. So I know what kind of space I am. I'm also, you know, I've experienced a hate crime. So that to me is a trauma that continues to live with me. And when I walk into a room, it gives me anxiety. And not that, because every other place in my life I live proudly. I'm Josie, I'm a lesbian, I'm gay, whatever you want to call it. I'm in it. I'm married to a woman, but sometimes, I'm not going to lie, and I bet that shows up for a lot of our viewers, is that even in our confidence, we come in like, I don't want to be in a fight with anyone. I don't want to defend myself tonight. I just want to come and have dinner. I just want to come and go to church. I just want to be, you know what I mean? And
I've been gay bashed 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. But I will tell you, America, I fought back and I beat the dog shit out of them. But I have been gay bashed 3 times. And so for me, those experiences go into my decision. But like Napoleon, I strive, and I feel like every time I want to show a public display of affection, I have to come out all over again.
Yeah.
It's like coming out all over again.
It is definitely.
Last thing, I want to move on. But one thing I do want to say, I have friends, gay friends. I have people in production. I have other friends here and in other places where I will hug them on the street or in a restaurant, or I'll get behind them and play with them, and it's uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable for them because most of the people that I'm doing this with have the same kind of reaction that you're talking about. The number one reason I do it is exactly what you just said. I'm uncomfortable. How is it possible Al is uncomfortable with gayness? How is that possible? And when I recognize that is possible, then I must do everything I can to try to overcome it.
To empower yourself.
To empower myself.
Live proud.
And I commit to live proud. Let's move on out of public displays of affection and play one final game. And that is called Shag, Marry, Chop. Of course you know this game.
Howard, not spin the bottle
Before
this
we
time.
show our choices, this game is fun. Play along with us here at Bubbles and Pearls and also at home. Who would you shag? Everybody knows what the English word of shag means. And who would you marry? And who would you shop? And remember, we've taken out fuck and kill because we can't do that without the Secret Service and Facebook showing up for Power Infinity. All right, so let's play Shag, Marry, Chop. Here's who we're playing with tonight, folks.
Oh, yes,
it's
please.
the hottest male fitness models. Tonight.
Oh, I love
Leif
me some
Ashley,
Leif. Ooh.
Adian Dowling, and Ben Melzer.
I was going to ask how you pronounce
Who's
his
going to
name,
jump
but
in?
who cares how you pronounce his name?
Shag, Marry, Chop.
Speaking of objectifying
Who's
men.
first?
No, someone else could go.
Who's first? Come on, jump in.
I'm a little bashful at this moment.
All right, I'm going first. So I appreciate that y'all included trans men, by the way. I'm not going to tell you which one is trans, though.
Who cares?
So
Gorgeous.
thank you. I'm going to shag. I'm going to shag Ben. I'm going to, because their shoulders, damn. I'm going to marry Aiden Dowling, and I'm gonna chop Leif Ashley.
No way!
Only because there is no discernible reason for any human being to look that damn good, and I resent it. I don't appreciate it, and he's chopped.
Right.
Well, I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
follow your lead in who I'm shagging. So I'm totally shagging Ben, okay? But I'm telling you, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna chop Leif Ashley. All right? So I'm marrying that mofo, okay? And what is that? Aiden,
Yeah.
you're chopped, baby doll.
All right.
I'm going right there too. I would shag Ben Meltzer, mostly just because of the other two. I would have to marry Leif. The whole thing is him punching. If he's not hurt me, say impact play. He looks like he knows how to do it quite well. And then I would unfortunately chop Aiden, but that's just not make it any less.
All right,
appealing.
Aiden gets another chop. Power, what are you doing?
Well,
Game is brutal, man.
I thought I knew who I was going to shag, marry, chop until I saw Leif Ashley throwing punches. So I have got to say I am going to shag Leif Ashley.
Ooh.
He is beautiful.
I am going to, because he's hot and he could slap me around and call me Susan. I'm going to marry Adrian Dowling because he is all ripped and defined,
and he
I
is
live
so
for that.
happy that somebody saved him, threw him a lifeline.
Yes, I got you, baby. And I'm sorry, Ben Melsler, I'm gonna have to chop you, but I would cheat on Aiden to.
Well, here's an interesting thing, America. I paused the table and the entire restaurant. The interesting thing, Aaron kind of trickles in on it. But our game tonight of Shag, Marry, Chop is kind of in honor of the first annual National Trans March. Because all three of these gentlemen are trans. All of them.
I wouldn't
So-
give a damn if their names were Pussy
like it's weird to be
Galore.
clapping.
Yes.
I'm doing all of them.
That's my name. It's already taken.
Wait.
I'm quickly
Why-
curious. Now that we've revealed that to you, does it change any of your...
Nada.
Nope.
What changes my opinion?
Nope.
The fact that we were-
Niente.
We're clapping
Nope.
over it. Like the fact that they're passing makes us clap. That doesn't make any sense to me. That seems
Small
like overwhelming.
victories. It's always small victories.
I wasn't clapping because
Shag, Marry,
they
Shag, Marry,
passed.
Chop tonight is a show.
I was just clapping
Small
because
victories.
they're
sexy.
like, yeah.
Or shag them because
All
I
right,
mean, yes.
America, that is our show tonight. We hope you've had a really, really good time. We appreciate you tuning in. We really hope the variety of what we've talked about tonight is shared. And we always finish, this is kind of a personal desire. We always finish
After
our
that
show.
last clip, I'm not sure how that comes across.
Right. We finish with some food on the table and here in the restaurant. And that is from Jets Pizza. When you come into South Florida, you got to order it. It's the best pizza in the world. And of course, that's Thomas. Thomas, come over here and
Speaking
say
of
hello.
objectifying men.
Come on in.
Good evening.
Come on
Thirsty,
in.
have
Hey,
food.
yeah, use the mic here. Thomas, I ask you, this is Thomas from Jets Pizza. He's an actual delivery guy. Do you go by delivery boy or delivery man?
Or delivery person.
Or delivery person? Does the
Delivery
pronoun
dude?
mad? Delivery dude. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, our delivery dude from Jets Pizza. I said last week, this is a real delivery dude. Do you get many people that are recognizing you yet?
A lot, actually. So far, like past
Microphone here.
past 3 weeks, maybe like 10 people so far.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Very good.
So a lot of people in the area.
Right. So if you're in South Florida, order from Jets and ask for Thomas. If you're around the country or in the UK or Germany or Spain,
Ask for Thomas.
I can't fly out.
See what happens.
make sure you order from Jets Pizza. And Thomas is always really good. Good
Appreciate
to see you.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, that's our show. We're going to close tonight. We always close with a good night and goodbye, and I allow the hosts to do that. I encourage them to do it. Napoleon, what would you like to say to America?
I would like to say Happy New Year to all of you that were celebrating over the weekend. I hope that you are starting in an amazing time with us at It's Happening Out, as we're about to embark on year 2 as well.
Happy New Year for who?
For all of the Jews
The
out there. You got it
Jews,
right
the
in there. It's Rosh
Jews.
Hashanah
Come
weekend. We're
on.
just passing through it.
Rosh Hashanah.
I know, it's not,
Right.
I'm speaking
Look
in
at all the
coded language.
Jews clapping here. But wait, are you going to recognize this? Because if they're going to be one of our 26 letters, they must be recognized with the J.
The
Right?
J is not added yet, so we can add it. Like,
Yeah,
it's part of a
exactly.
minority.
Is that
it's a
in the
queer
talk?
community. I'm going to justify this right
And
now.
from my friend Chef Josie.
Hey, this week it's a little different for me, so I'm going to say goodnight, party animals. It's Aqua Girl this weekend. I'll see you at the pool party on Saturday. Make sure you get your tickets now because I hear it's selling out.
Yeah, absolutely. And to my friend who's just returned from the first National Trans March in Washington, D.C., Aaron Phoenix.
Good night, gender fuckers. And in the words of a person I had the absolute pleasure to meet this weekend, Natalia Dupree, first we rest, then we get back to work. Good night.
Nice. And to my friend who is in every jail imaginable on this planet, Power Infinity.
Good night, children. And as we kick off this month, happy LGBTQ History Month.
Yeah.
Remember, your voice is your power, so keep tuning in and live out loud.
Absolutely. And America, we got through the entire show. This is October 2nd, 2019, and we did not take a hat tip or a nod to gay Christmas. It's October, which means Halloween is coming. Our countdown for Halloween. We're very excited about it.
Or for Power, another Wednesday.
Exactly. Power's favorite holiday. America, we hope you like what we've talked about tonight. We tell you over and over again, we are obsessed with the idea of gay culture and finding if the gay community still exists. So many people are talking about the loss of our hotels, our guest houses, our bars.
Our parties.
Does gay need to be recognized even in America? We think it does. And that's why we talk about so many different kinds of things at It's Happening Out. And we think that that's why we're resonating and why in the last quarter alone, more than 7 million of you are watching. And so we think, if you agree with us that this is an important goal, turn every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock to It's Happening Out. Good night, America.